I'm in a New York state of mind.
New York.
New York City is the place where they said, hey, babe.
Says he was the closest thing New York had to a Dirty Harry.
532.
No good deed ever goes unpunished.
That FBI agent guy, somebody told me he's got your phones tapped.
The kind of old-fashioned cop who preferred working the streets and making arrests to taking tests toward promotion.
You're assigned to a vandalism case in Athens.
All police bulletin for the Bo Dietl Show on the Gas Digital Network. Here's your host, Bo Dietl.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to One Tough Podcast. I'm joined here, like always, with my main man, Carlo. And today, you know what we're going to do? Today, we're going to talk about answering some of the audience's questions and also covering some current events that are close to my heart. You know, what's been happening, we had some great guests on here with Scaramucci, Sharippa, everybody. We had some great guests, and even with Danny A. Next week, I'll be filming up in upstate New York, that new movie, Appalachia. I got a part in this fucking movie from this podcast.
That's exciting. It's going to be a great movie.
Yeah,
got a great cast.
Yeah. So that's what it's all about. But I mean, there's a lot of issues, Carlo, I think I'd love to talk to.
Yeah, let's get into it. We got a big news week.
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions. It's just me and you today because we have so much to get into. Let's catch up on some audience questions. A lot of people have been reaching out.
But I want to talk to Carlo. I got to talk about this fucking Cohen guy.
I got
to talk about these cocksuckers with the cops on the street. We got some important shit to talk about.
Okay, so let's just get through the questions really quickly. It's actually related to what you're talking about. So, Bo, there was news yesterday that the New York's SBA, Sergeants Benevolent Association, in coordination with State Senator Marty Golden, they are proposing a $500 reward for any bystander that's helping an officer subdue a suspect in conjunction with an arrest. What do you think about that?
I love it. You know, I had my little bouts with Ed Mullen when I ran for mayor. He came out and endorsed one of the people running against me, and I had a couple of words with him. But honestly, Ed Mullen's right on target with this. As far as putting a reward out there for people to help cops, people have to realize how difficult it is when you want to handcuff somebody. It ain't a pretty thing. People think people just stand there, put your hands behind your back like the Marquess of Queensberry rules or 1 Adam 12. That's bullshit. You're wrestling around. And I challenge anybody to try to put handcuffs, even on a woman that's 100 pounds or a man that's 130 pounds. If they don't want to be handcuffed, it's a very difficult thing to handcuff somebody, and it ain't pretty. And I love the idea about letting the community jump in where they can hold them down. And you could just notice even the chief of the department, Monahan, the other day they had that big black cop. He was in good shape. You could tell he was kind of buff, and the guy was giving him crap, and he was locking him up. He grabbed him around his neck like I did many a times, and he brought him to the ground. Right away, they're yelling, chokehold, chokehold, chokehold my asshole. That's a headlock. He got him down. They handcuffed him. This is the perfect example of the bullshit that's going on with Gardner over there in Staten Island. God rest his soul, his family. Terrible tragedy, but that cop grabbed him in the fucking headlock, got him on the ground. The guy didn't want to get locked up. He died of acute heart problems, acute asthma, and that's a terrible tragedy that occurred. But to say that was an intentional act, bullshit. I can't breathe. I can't breathe in the morning. I got asthma. I got to take my asthma medicine. I can't breathe in the fucking morning either.
But do you think that, having these people from the public jump in, wouldn't that lead to more problems? They're not trained.
No, you want to know something? Like anything. If all of a sudden we had some psychopath come in here, and I'm wrestling with him, and all the guys jump in there. You jump on, body weight holds the guy down, then you're able to facilitate. No, I don't think at all. I think in reality, I want the community. We're locking somebody up there, and the people should support the police, and I'm very supportive of this. Of course, your legal aid society is going to stop bitching and moaning and squatting when they piss as it goes. And they came after me all the time, the Legal Aid Society. But in reality, it's nice. The police officer is making and effecting an arrest. He needs support of the community. I love it. I think there should be more community interaction with people of the community, and they understand you help the cop. And you want to know something? If you feel as though a cop is wrong, a cop's in uniform. He tells you something. Oh, I didn't do it. You don't want a cop saying, I want your daughter to suck my dick. The guy walks in the precinct and said, hey, I want your daughter to suck my dick. Fuck you. People don't realize there's a law on the books trespassing and videotaping in the precinct. And that law should have been there instead of those cops cowering like that. That was an embarrassment to those cops right there. And then you get other people on the street. What should happen right now, Carlo, this is important. And I'll go before the city council. I'm willing to go before the city council. They have to have a law passed in New York City that when an officer in uniform, someone's directing someone and they don't cooperate, that they give them one warning and the cop starts getting harassed, 2 warning, and then if they don't abide by the cop, they're not involved with abiding by the cop, they should be able to get locked up. Give them a universal summons. We have to have some semblance of law and order in this city. If the cop is wrong, there's a lot of avenues people could do. You could sue the police department, you could civilian complaint review board, but you don't fight or you don't harass cops and treat them like secondary people.
So yeah, like the mayor and some other politicians have just finally came out and supported cops after trashing them for all these years.
What did the mayor say? That's stupidity. What did he say?
I don't have the exact quote, but he finally had to, support the cops.
No, he said something stupid like always, like, now, guys, now, that's not nice. Fuck him.
Yeah.
He's he never got punched in his face. That's his problem. You know what I'd like to do? Now I'm not running for mayor. I challenge this fucking mayor. He's 6'6". Lock me in a room with you, bitch, and I'll show who a man is, because he's never got punched in his face. That's his problem. He don't know what it's like with these cops on the street when they're walking around the street and they're being harassed by everybody. He's a disgrace, and he still is a disgrace.
Okay, so
I don't like him.
We're on the topic of disgraces.
Carlo, did you realize I don't fucking like him?
I would have never guessed.
Okay.
So speaking of disgraces, disgraziads, and people that should get punched in the face, Michael Cohen pled guilty. Tax evasion, bank fraud, campaign finance violations. They were going to threaten him with 65 years in jail, and now he's looking at 3 to 5, and he flipped.
Well, Carlo, I know Michael Cohen. I know Michael Cohen probably 25 years. Michael Cohen was a nice guy. I talked to him up to a couple of months ago. Let's realize one thing. He's a fucking lawyer. How dare you tape record your fucking client, you scumbag? That's the first thing that pisses me off. Any lawyer that tape records their client, they should have get smacked in the fucking face. Now, as far as Cohen goes, Cohen said to me, Michael Cohen, Bo, I'm not standing by. I'm not going to jail for the president. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
He told you that? Absolutely.
You know what he said to me? When the president became the president of the United States, he thought he was going to get a job in the White House. He never got a job because probably Trump knew he was a fucking reject, obviously. Trump didn't bring him to the White House, so he was pissed off. So when this whole thing happened with all his tax evasion, all his entities, all his bullshit he was doing with money, hiding money and all that, committing these crimes, all of a sudden it pops up about the president. Now, let's back up a little.
Let's take this slow, because this is a complex issue, and you have firsthand knowledge. You were with him during the campaign. You know him 25 years.
Yeah.
You've seen the interpersonal dynamics. So let's go back. Because you have a perspective that nobody else has.
Okay, here it is, very simple, and I'll use an example. When I ran for mayor of New York City, I was fighting the New York State tax for 12 years on residency in New York in the year 2005. I had 3 houses on Long Island. I was paying $125,000 in total taxes out there. I had an apartment in New York, but I was out of the city the required 188 days. So I was fighting him for 12 years. Every time I'd bring him information, they go, well, we don't accept it. We're going on and on. So now this is hanging over me. The original tax was about $100,000. With interest and penalty, it went up to $488,000. So when I'm running for mayor, all of a sudden they said, Bo, you got this tax lien. I said, well, I'm still fighting it. I said, but they said, it's not going to look good, Bo. So I said, okay. I called up the tax people. I said, look, I'll give you $250,000. I'll pay you $25,000 a month, offering compromise. That was it. But it went to the front page of the Daily News, Bo owes. But I paid the fucking thing off. My point is,
they had leverage, and they came after you because they knew they could get something out of you because you.
I'm running for mayor right now, and I didn't want an embarrassment with this tax lien bullshit. So I used my own fucking money and I paid it off. Now we bounce right back to Trump. Trump, whatever, he banged this sloppy pig, Stormy Daniels. Man, I wouldn't hit her with your dick, Carlos. She's disgusting.
Hey, don't bring me into this.
But listen to this. So now all of a sudden, Stormy Daniels blows him or whatever she does with him, right? Now, this is 2005. And then all of a sudden she goes away. Now she knows he's running for president. To me, it's fucking extortion. She pops her fucking head up. She gets this pimp punk lawyer, this Abenati guy. And next thing is they're starting to shake down the president to get money to keep her fucking mouth shut. So the president decides, whether you knew it or not, I don't know. But somebody, that's like you, Carlo. I'm running for mayor, and you know there's a broad that's making trouble for me, embarrassment to my wife and my family. So they end up giving her the $130,000, right? So now all of a sudden, the president pays back, supposedly. If, in fact, the president used his own money, or somebody used money, then he paid it back, there is no campaign finance problem. If he used campaign funds, then we're talking about campaign finance laws. But in reality, you can do what the fuck you want. And I mean, I put $150,000 in my own campaign. And if there was a broad that was hawking me and saying, well, I'm going to come out and say, you banged me, Bo. And I would have said, yeah, here's $100,000. Shut your fucking mouth. Get the hell out of here. My point is, my money, I can do what I want. There's no law being broken there. And that's what I think the big problem here is, that people are saying, oh, he broke the law because he wouldn't have become president if it came out. No, the embarrassment to the president's wife and family was something that was deterred. And that's exactly what happened.
Another thing that I think it's important to relay is, let's give an example. I work for you.
Yeah.
Part of my job responsibility is helping out with this podcast. And let's say I, on my own, to enhance the podcast, say we need some new equipment.
Yeah.
And I buy equipment. I bring it to you.
Yeah.
And then you later find out I bought stolen merchandise.
Yeah.
You didn't know about that.
No, that's a very good.
I gave you back the money. You
Yeah.
gave me back the money for my expenses, and you had
Right.
no idea where it went.
Right. My point is that I really believe that if this would have came out during the campaign, it would have been a real embarrassment. And I know Melania, and I was at their wedding. I was at the president and Melania's
So
wedding.
this is important to keep people aware of.
Keep the perspective.
You know
Yeah.
Donald Trump for over 30,
Yeah.
35 years.
Yeah.
So you've seen this. You've seen how he lives, how he operates.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah, I
his
mean,
behavior.
and he likes women. We all know it. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't bang that fucking pig or that beautiful Playboy playmate. She was cute. But I'm not sitting here to condemn. Right now, he's not on trial for being a good husband or a father of the year. You know, he likes women. Okay, that's it. Is that a crime? I like women. You like women, Carlo. So, I mean, the point is, let's get down. Is there a law broken here? There's no fucking law broken here. If he took, now here we go. If he took $150,000, $130,000 out of the campaign finance that we raised money, like when we were running for mayor, when I raised all that money, I raised $1.2 million, whatever I raised. Now, if all of a sudden I took some of that money out and paid some side order off and keep a mouth shut, that's a crime. But if I pay for it with my own money, it's not a fucking crime. And that's what they're trying to do here. You see, Cohen got caught in all kinds of shit, not claiming taxes. So it's a whole tumultuous thing. You see what's going on now, too? That thing that looks like an attorney general. She looks like fucking Cousin It with a wig on. What, the new attorney general there? What's her name? Puco.
The New York State Attorney
Yeah,
General.
yeah. She looks like a fucking puke. And I'm going to tell you something. The other guy.
Acting. She's acting.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
not
acting. She's acting, man. Look at that fucking face. She's the attorney general. She should go to a fucking coiffeur and fix her fucking hair and get a little makeup on her face. You know what I mean, brother?
I do. So I'm back to Cohen. So Cohen, he's dining out. He was at Le Bilboquet last night having a fancy dinner.
Yep.
What do you think he's going through right now? What do you think? His attorney, he said that Michael Cohen has hit a reset button. He will not accept a pardon. He wants to be an American patriot. But, you know him.
Lanny Davis is my fucking lawyer, too. Lanny's a good guy. But Lanny's like, Lanny is a cheerleader for the Democrats. We all know what he's all about. He would love to be the catalyst to try to take this president down. Probably ugly Hillary there, and Bill going, Lanny, you're in a good position. You're the lawyer for Cohen. You should take this president down and impeach him. You'll be put down in the history books. Bullshit. Here's the facts of everything, okay? Cohen said to me a couple of months ago, I never got a job in Washington. This fucking guy thinks he's going to do this. He thinks I'm going to jail. I'm not going to jail. My family is not going to have me going to jail, and I'll do what I have to do. I guess he's doing what he had to do. He ain't going to. And now they nailed him with all different charges, not just this campaign finance shit. It's all kinds of money.
Fraud
bank fraud, signed for loans. Then you see that. I think he was given $450,000 on that supposedly $130,000 loan with the broad. He pumped it up. He fudged it up, and then he didn't claim the income. Bullshit. My point right now is they're going after this president, whether you like Donald Trump's personality or not. Let's figure out where we are right now in this country. Unemployment for blacks, Hispanics, women at the all-time low ever. We have an economy that's surging. We're proud. We're taking the fucking Chinese out. They were fucking with us. We're starting to take them out. This guy's doing great things, whether you like his personality or not. I don't like his personality because him and I went at it where I told him I was going to smack him in the fucking head when he lied to me about something. But you got to wait things out. The good things he's doing for this country are so important that people can't lose track of it. And I think the people that support him and are in a better place now financially and life is better for them, they're going to come out and they're going to vote in his midterm election to keep him in there. Because I know right now, if the Democrats take charge of that House, they're going to file for impeachment. That other psychopath bitch, what's her name, from California? That ugly, the one that's worth fucking hundreds of millions. Nancy Pelosi. Come on, Carl. You got to be quick on these ones. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
Politicians from California.
No, not the one wearing a wig that looks like James Brown. What's her name?
Maxine Waters.
Yeah, oh, man. She better retire already. That's it.
Well, they say politics is show business for ugly people.
Well, you know what's great? I can say anything I want on my One Tough podcast. Go fuck yourself, because you know what? When I ran for mayor, I had to be nice. Remember I danced in the gay pride parade with all the lesbianics and all the gay guys? That was fun with the pink jacket. I got a lot of shit from my friends. They said, Bo, what are you doing to yourself? I'm an equal opportunity employer. I love everybody.
Man of the people.
If you were gay, Carlo, I love you. If you were trisexual, I still love you. Whatever you want to do, you want to suck on a lamb, whatever you want to do, I support you. Okay,
if you're
son?
albino, trisexual,
anything you want to do, horses. If that's your gig, God bless you.
Okay, and that's a fair thing. That's, people should be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, that's what that. Don't worry about what I'm doing in my backyard. That's why I say what happens in your bedroom is your privacy, is your right. That's it.
So that's back to, what we're talking about with Donald Trump. And, so we have the midterm elections coming up, and as you said, we have all-time record low unemployment. We have the longest bull market in history of the United States. Manufacturing is up 30%. So what do the Democrats have to offer?
All they have to offer is let's go back to the last president of the United States. People are used to hearing politicians, and that fucking bum over there in New Jersey, that Melendez, he should get knocked out, that criminal piece of shit. He beat the case. He should get knocked out. He's a criminal, and he took that money with that other fat eye doctor, and we're banging all the broads in the Dominican Republic, and he was giving them money. He should go out, and they should elect that Marine guy that's running for the United States Senator of New Jersey. He's a real businessman. He's a man. He's a man's man, and he's a guy that'll get something done. This other bum is a corrupt piece of shit, Melendez. Now, with that said, my point right now is the last guy that was president of the United States for 8 years, I think he's one of the most articulate. When he would talk, man, I'll never forget his last State of the Union. I went like this, wow, he's good. But when you think about it, he doesn't say any fucking thing. That was Obama. And the majority of the politicians are smooth talking. If they weren't politicians, they should be pimps, because they're smooth talking motherfuckers and they'll promise you anything. But let's face one thing. Who's getting shit done? 2 years he's in office. And look where we're at right now. Even in the world, people are respecting us. We're the United States of America. And we ain't the United States of America for Republicans, conservatives, everyone. And I think the conservative Democrats, people that really care about them, family and themselves, will come out and vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has some real rough edges, but when you take off all that skin, he's doing good things for this country, and he's strong, and he's saying what a lot of people, that's why he gets these crowds together, because he's saying what you feel. Enough is enough. Like that fucking little cucaracha there that killed that fucking poor girl over there in Iowa.
Molly
that
Tibbetts,
beautiful young princess running along. That little fucking cucaracha should not have been in the United States. And you know what? He was illegal in this country. That's a perfect fucking example. All immigrants do not commit crimes. But this is a perfect example of this piece of shit shouldn't have been in the United States of America, killing that young, beautiful
Absolutely.
girl.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. I was just at the border last week, and
What were you doing? You illegal? You
no,
bringing
I
you
came
bring
totally
people in or
legal.
what?
I just wanted to go on vacation, but
I told you not to go to fucking Mexico.
The border security is really not that strong. I have to tell you, I went through. They glanced at my passport, and you want to know the crazy thing? The X-ray machines to check your bags were both broken. I could have taken anything I wanted.
You know what, Carlo? I told you not to fucking go to Mexico. First 6 months, you know how many dead there? 30,000 killed in Mexico. What are you, on crack? Why would you go to fucking Mexico?
The beaches are beautiful, and the food's great.
Go to St. Bart. Stop the bullshit, all right, please? Come on.
Okay. So, getting back to the point of Donald Trump, people don't like him. A lot of politicians don't like him. And do you think that's because he's turning back the lens on these politicians? He's exposing them for the hypocrites that they are?
Bingo. Carlo, when you started working for me, I knew you were one of the most astute guys I ever had working for me. Bingo. The fucking scumbag Republicans that are embedded, the Democrats. This is a way of life. When you go into political office, you're worth nothing. And then after 10 years, you're worth $40-50 million. I got a fucking problem with that. The problem is you're supposed to be.
How does
that happen? Yeah. Well, you just think about it. Use your mind to think about it. How does that happen? Come on, tell me how that happened. My point is, this is a swamp. Both sides, the fucking Republicans and the Democrats, those Bushes are as guilty as the fucking Clintons. They're in that swamp of shit. Halliburton, let's go, baby. Halliburton, where's all the money made? You know what? It's disgusting. It's such a cleanly thing to have this big mouth, narcissist, lying president standing up there and making America great. I love fucking President Trump. End of story. Take all his narcissism out, and sometimes he says a couple of fibs. But with everything else said, he is doing great things for our country. He's cutting through the bullshit. People can't handle the truth like in that fucking movie. You know what I mean?
A few good men, and they're all only a few good men.
Well, look, let's face it. He's not the typical politician. That's why they don't like him. They can't control. But remember what he did. This narcissist guy that fibs sometimes took on 16, 17 of the best hard-nosed Republican lying politicians, and he took their asses out.
He cut right through them.
He didn't have the Republican Party behind him. They were fighting him. They were fighting him, the Republican Party. He went against his own party. He went against the Democrat, and he won. You know what? You got to give this guy credit, man. And I tell you what, he doesn't like when I kiss him, because sometimes I see him, I kiss him on the fucking cheek, and he pushes me away. But the next time I see him, I'm going to kiss him on the fucking cheek. He's doing a great job.
So, we're getting back to people don't like what he says. He's under a microscope. He was, and when he was running as a Republican in the primary, he was calling everybody nicknames. He's calling people dumb, stupid, short, fat, whatever. But if he says criticize certain people, it seems like the media want to seize on it and say he's a racist, he's a xenophobic or whatever. But do you think that's just his personality? He's just equal opportunity, just calls everybody names?
But that is his personality. Exactly. And I know him for 40 years. My point, that's Donald Trump. And, that's only Donald. That's the remarks that I would say over the years when he said or did something. That's only Donald. But let's weigh out. I got people don't like some of the stuff I do because I tell the truth, and I'm not afraid to tell the truth to anybody. Some people like it. Some people think I'm out of control. They can't control me. When I told the head of the New York State Republican Party, and what was his name? Ed Cox. I said, you're a big douchebag. I said, you're a big bird. Your claim to fame is you fucking married Nixon's daughter. You're going to run this Republican Party in New York State into the ground. He goes, you can't talk to me like that. I said, I'll slap you in your fucking face, you prick. And when I saw him in person, he gives you that handshake, that hard handshake. I like to crack him right in the fucking head. He's a destructive person for the Republican Party. But you say what you feel. I don't say, hello, I like you to people. Like, if I see the president, I'm going to give him a hug and a kiss because I like what he's doing. Everything else don't mean anything because all the positive things he's doing for this country. And now as far as, Carl, we didn't talk about Manafort.
All right. That's a very important case too. So Paul Manafort, former campaign manager for a short time. So you knew him?
Yeah, I met Paul at the Le Cirque when I dished out $50,000 to the president. And here's the president. You had Woody Johnson there, the Jets owner. Now, Woody Johnson was supporting somebody else, and he now gives them $250,000 at the fundraiser, and he embarrasses the shit out of him. He goes, I guess, Woody, you banked on the wrong guys. I think he was back in Bush. And he embarrasses him, but yet he took the fucking money. This is Donald Trump. And, Woody was there, and he's giving the guy money, and he makes a fool out of him, but... Woody support him. Now Woody's the ambassador to United Kingdom. I mean, the point is Donald is Donald. You're not getting anything different than what you see. What you see is what you get. And his feelings are, look at, even when we had Scaramucci in here, he talked about that Osmorosa there, whatever her name is, that lying bitch.
An opportunist?
Opportunist. She's tape recording in the Situation Room, this piece of shit. And you want to know something? If you notice, she fell off the face of the earth. Nobody wants to talk to her. Nobody wants a fucking book. Because how could you have a person that you're loyal to tape record you and then strike against you? Like Scaramucci said, she's like a pit bull. Eventually, maybe you're going to get bit by the bitch. And she did bite the president back. So
it's a very crazy time. It's a very crazy time. And meanwhile, this whole investigation that's uncovering all this stuff about Cohen and Manafort was originally started about Russian collusion, which so far they haven't shown anything.
Bingo. Now, Paul Manafort with his tax, Paul Manafort, as far as I'm concerned, is a tax cheat. I pay a lot of taxes, Carlo, and they come after me all the time. My point is he cheated, $60 million or something?
He was found guilty out of 8 out of 18 charges. So what do you think about that? So they're he's facing 250 years.
So what's the difference, 250 or 800 years?
But
How much the difference?
What you tell me the difference?
There is no difference.
Room, the FBI comes to your house, raids your house, takes you out in your pajamas, throws you in a room, and they say you're going to face 250 years. Is that fair to somebody?
Well, that was more done in the sense that
he's
was
in
done
solitary confinement.
Right, well, that was done because
him.
there was supposed to be some tampering with the witness. Somebody contacted a witness. The bottom line with that.
So, a lot of people under that kind of pressure might start talking.
Manafort's not going to flip on the president because he knows his only real out on this thing, because these are serious charges. He's looking at serious time. He's, I guess, the back of his crazed brain is that he got attacked for one reason. They were trying to get to the president, and the president knows they wouldn't have come after him unless they were looking for him with this Russian collusion. And Manafort was involved with some Russian shit with Ukraine and stuff. I mean, he had a consultant company where he was getting money. So in reality, him being a campaign manager for the president, you got to look deeper into this thing. And that's exactly what the special prosecutor was supposed to be looking at, the collusion. So far, there's no collusion. All these ancillary cases are all developed. I mean, in reality, there should have never, that little clown, that fucking Attorney General Sessions with the big ears, he looks like Alfred E. Newman. That little prick should have never let them appoint this special prosecutor unless they had some real evidence. If anything should have been appointed, they should have appointed against Hillary and the Democrats with this whole dossier and all that. That to me was criminal, where you use the FBI and you use the FBI to selectively enforce, similar to what that other jerk off used to be the Attorney General for Clinton when he had Fast and Furious with the guns. He lied to the Congress, and then all of a sudden they had the IRS going after conservative groups. You can't use the government to selectively enforce things for your own political interests, and that's exactly what's going on with the special prosecutor. If there was no collusion, which we haven't seen a scrap of it, end the fucking thing, all right? We shouldn't be having that in the front page of the papers. There's a lot of more important things this president has got to do, including straightening out that mess of the Obamacare that I'm paying double from the Obamacare for medical for people that work for me. This is a fucking circle fuck with this medical insurance. People got to get on top of these insurance companies. These are issues that we got to be dealing with. We got to get the best medical for the cheapest price, and that's where it's got to be. And people want to talk about socialism. Excuse me. Socialism, Venezuela. You know what the inflation is? 1,000,000%. You got to bring a suitcase of fucking Fugazi money to buy a quart of milk. I mean, is that what you want? You want a socialist government? Oh, they got free healthcare, but you can't get a fucking doctor. You can't get no healthcare. It may work in Norway, one of these places where they got 32 people, but you can't use socialism to work properly. And anybody thinks socialism is the way to go. You know what they should do? They should go to Venezuela or Cuba, and then you'll see how the socialism's working there. Bullshit.
So I think the people that are selling this socialism are really the worst people because they're actively lying. They're saying that if you vote for me, you're gonna get something in return.
Yeah.
And in all these countries where socialism was implemented, only the elites benefited.
Look at that pretty young girl there in Queens, Ocasio, what's her name?
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, whatever her name is, and that other clown from Vermont. Yeah, they want nationalized healthcare, free college. Nobody talks about who's paying for this. You got to be responsible. In business, you got to be responsible. The government is a business. You know what that would cost over 10 years of taxes if they want to implement that? Take a guess, Colin.
Trillions.
How about $10 trillion? Over 10 years, 10 years, $30 trillion. There was an estimate from Newsmax TV. It would be $30 trillion in taxes over the next 10 years. That means that I pay 52% fucking taxes now. That means I'll be paying 80%. So every dollar I make, I'll be paying 80% of my dollar. I'll be making 20 cents. You know, I quit then. I'm going to become one of the people on the free shit.
It removes the incentive for anybody to do anything competitive because if you just know that you're going to get this money, no one's going to be efficient. No one's going to try to cost.
There'll be anarchy in this country, and if you elect these Democrats that want no borders, let them in. You see what happened to that young little girl?
Why do you think they don't want borders? I mean, that makes no sense.
Because they have a psychological gap in the fucking brainwaves. They think it's kumbaya. They don't know what the after effects are going to be. The after effects are going to be anarchy, crime will soar, and America will be a fucking descachivad. You know what that is?
It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, right. Okay. But you know what? People got to realize one thing, and it goes back to the policing. If you take the heart and soul out of the police officers out there, then you're going to have anarchy. And then these punks on the street will run, and they'll know they won't have any kind of interference from law enforcement people to stop them from doing the shit that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like these politicians are just sellouts. They've sold out the American people. The only guy that's trying to help, they're trying to take down. What's their goal? What do they want? It doesn't.
Well, you know what they want? They want a kumbaya world. They think we're all open borders.
But do they really want a kumbaya world?
Yeah, but
or are they just selling a bill of goods that they're never going to deliver on and just take off with the money?
Well, I think that they really psychologically think that this is the way of the world. We know one thing. ISIS and the mental capacity of the ISIS and about the radical Muslim thought is that you can't coexist. Being a Catholic, a Jew, you can't coexist with the Muslims. You got to either become a Muslim or they want to kill you. And that's the idealistic value of the psychopathic Muslim extremists in the Middle East. And that's what they pray to. You know what, Carlo, they got nothing. So religion was built on poor people dreaming and about praying to their gods, whoever it might be, because they're poor, they have nothing. These kids are growing up in the Middle East, seeing their families getting blown up at either side, us or the other one side. So their whole life, their whole value is just do the extreme, blow yourself up, do whatever you want, because then you'll get to Alibaba and the 70 virgins and all that bullshit, you know? So my point is that this is something that if we open our borders up, America will have an influx of people that want to destroy our way of life, our democracy, our freedom. To me, freedom is to pray and do what you want. And it can't be freedom if you're going to have no control. Freedom comes with control. Also, when the Patriot Act was enacted after 9/11, people had no problem. You want to get my phone records? Fine. Because it was right after 9/11. I was there, Carlo. I'll never forget when those buildings came down. These motherfuckers took us down. And if people want to be complacent and think that they ain't coming back, that's bullshit. And it's going to come back with a fury. My point is we got to protect ourselves and protect America. Take the borders out and they'll just run right through. They'll run right through our fucking southern borders.
I think it's worse than that, actually, Bo. I think that is a threat. A radical Islamic terrorism is not good. It's not good to let it in. It's not good to have open borders. But I think that socialism is even worse and I'll tell you why. The politicians that are peddling this, they're just the same as the ISIS and Al Qaeda people. They're selling a false promise and they're taking the money. All these socialist, people that are throwing these thoughts out, they're not donating their money to these causes. If you're Bernie Sanders, he's worth millions of dollars. He's not, living in a monastery. So what, these people are worse.
You're right on top of it. But you know what? We keep going back. People don't react to all these people dying in our city of Chicago, African Americans. There's no reaction. All they want to do is divide the country, hate against two sides. Because if we were together, they wouldn't have any fucking cause. And the Al Sharpton phonies and the Jesse Jackson phonies would be non-existent. They only thrive on questionable
Divide
shootings and all. Divide. Where is Black Lives Matter in Chicago? Where is the demonstration? I guess the little 7-year-old girl got shot in the head on the stoop. That life don't matter. That life means something to me. I'm involved with something. You got on something. This thing called bowler wrap, Carlo.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It's a very exciting
Wow.
technology.
I was over at Montclair University the other day. It works with a 9mm cartridge, and the thing's like a cell phone. And up to 25 feet, I saw it with my eyes. I used it. I couldn't fucking believe it. Remember Batman, where you wrap somebody up? The technology is there. It's ready to go. I'm going to be all over this fucking thing, because what it does is a person has a knife or a weapon in their hand 15 feet away. You don't have to come close. You press the thing in a fraction of a second. The person's tied up. Carlo, I can't believe it's called bowler wrap.
Listening, it's a device that shoots it's Kevlar.
It's a Kevlar thing where they can't break it with these fish hooks. A fish hook. It hooks onto the person's clothes
and
wraps
immobilizes
them.
them.
I saw it. I can't believe the fucking thing. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm getting behind it big time for all cops to have it. Then we can minimize even bad shootings, because you don't have to use your gun. You can use this piece of equipment that's dynamite. Better than the taser shit.
Bo, I think this relates back to the overall theme of what we're talking about here. So technology is improving everyone's lives.
Yep.
Most people are doing okay. Most people, compared to 50, 60 years ago, medicine is better. Technology is better. More people have college degrees. More people have, non-manual labor jobs. People work in offices. But the media wants to present America, the mainstream media wants to present this country like it's a disaster.
Well, that's why they show the division. They show you the hatred towards cops, the hatred towards this president. Let's face it, he's been in office for 2 years. He was able to do things against all odds. And when you look at the news media, the shows that take off are all the negative shit against Trump, not any of the positive. It should be headlines around the world and every news media about the stock market, all time of ever, the rise in the stock market. The
crime is down.
Crime is down. Why are we talking about it?
Everything's great and everybody's complaining.
Right.
So do you think these journalists are the same as these politicians? They're just selling false things. They're opportunists. People want to seize on things just so they can get ahead.
It's just funny, the mentality of a liberal and let's use liberal and a conservative. I'm not a conservative. I'm a moderate. But it's just a mentality of, I've had many conversations with liberal people and all that, and they have this attitude, oh, let everyone have everything and be part of everything. I like people to be part, but you've got to work hard. And I tell my own kids, life is not a fucking lottery. It's hard work equals success. But if you're going to think you're going to sit back and get free shit, fuck you. I get up. I'm 67 years old. I get up every morning at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning and go to work, and I'm planning on things. Why? Because I want to try to give my kids what I didn't have. I grew up. I grew up delivering newspapers at 7.5, almost 8 years old, the Long Island Press. I used to deliver 76 fucking newspapers in the morning before I went to school, sweep out factories when I was 9 years old. You know why? Because if I didn't have no money to buy my pizza and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I absolutely understand what you're saying. You had a life where you had to work. You got punched in the face. You've had taken your lumps and you've came out on top. A lot of people today don't have that. They go to an air-conditioned cubicle all day and sit in front of a computer, and they have nothing else to do except get fired up about whatever. And then, what does that equal?
Yeah, like
There's no more moderates because everyone picks a team and runs.
I saw yesterday something happened, and I was sitting in my car, I was at a light, and all of a sudden this woman, she was in the car, and she mistakenly, her car lunged a little bit. It wasn't her fault. And a liberal guy came walking by. He's banging on her car. He turns around with her wiper blade in the back. She had one of those wiper, and he bends the. I roll my window down. I say, "Hey, fucko." I says, "You want to break somebody's fucking wiper?" And then all of a sudden he goes, "You're Bo Dietl." And he fucking started running down like the pussy he was. He ran down the fucking street, hopping like the fucking liberal pussy he was. Why would you damage someone else's or destruct property like this Afra? What's it called?
Antifa?
Antifa.
Yeah.
Look at what they do. I was there at the inauguration in Washington. They were burning things. They were throwing shit in people's faces and pee. Where is the peacefulness of violence?
And these were probably kids
These
that
are
never
lefties.
got smacked as a kid.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden they're tough
they go to
people.
liberal arts colleges. And now
I
they
love
want to
that
put on a
video
black-
of that when they're doing a demonstration with Antifa and they come in there and a couple of guys with good right hooks were knocking their fucking lights out. I like that shit. Yeah.
So it's crazy times. And another thing that's very big theme that's been in the media for months, years, is the Me Too movement. And it seems that last week, one of the biggest spokespeople for the Me Too movement, Asia Argento, was herself caught up in a situation where she paid off a kid.
Yeah.
She
Well, he
was
wasn't a kid. He was
37.
17. How many broads were you banging at 17? Let's not fucking...
No movie stars, that's for sure.
Well, excuse me. I was banging broads at 17. I was banging some old bips, too. You know what I mean? You're 17. At 13 years old, I had a heart on and it didn't stop. So, come on. The guy was banging this hot-looking chick. Big deal. Then she extorted him. I mean, he extorted her that he was going to tell unless he got 300. That's fucking extortion. I mean, she ain't a bad-looking chick. This has nothing to do with the pig Harvey Weinstein. So let's not interfere this. Harvey Weinstein was a pig. I knew him, and he was an obnoxious pig that forced himself on these girls. This young kid, he should have been happy he got laid with this hot chick. I mean, 17 years old.
He's another kid that should get a smack in the face.
That kid should get smacked in the face and say, you know what? Thank you. I mean, think about it. 17, you got this hot
Movie
chick,
star.
30-something years old. You're banging this cougartation. Come on, he should have been the happiest kid in the world.
But she met him when he was 7 years old. She played his
Yeah, but
mother.
he
Is that a
supposedly
little
he didn't
weird?
bang until he was 17.
But it's a little weird.
She waited till he got to the right age. Weird? How about fucking that Woody Allen, that fucking pervert? Soon Young Goo Lee. What the fuck was his daughter's name? Some dumb
Soon
fuck?
Yi.
What was her name?
Sun Yi.
Yeah. That was his stepdaughter. He was banging her, taking pictures nude. Why was that little prick locked up?
Yeah, he never.
Yeah,
never
Woody
faced
Allen
the
never
music.
faced the fucking music on that. That's like you bringing up a little kid who's your daughter, and then all of a sudden you start taking pictures of him, you start banging your daughter. Perverted motherfucker.
Sick people.
Sick. Can we curse like this? Is okay?
It's okay. I think so.
Good. Any of my audience out there, I apologize, but I want this podcast.
Oh, but we have a lot of people tuning in because they wanted to hear about your Michael. So
Michael Jackson, you
Michael
mean?
Cohen.
Yeah. But listen to me.
So,
I want to apologize
we
to
wanna
any
use
of my
these clips on CNN or something.
Okay,
We have to
I
get a
want
clean
to
statement.
apologize to any of the listeners out there. I don't mean to offend anybody. That's why this is one tough podcast. I tell you like it is. Life is not a fucking ball of fucking happiness. There's a lot of people that are suffering, and especially in Chicago, all those people getting killed there, being gunned down. There are people dying all over. That little girl, when I guarantee that little fucking cucaracha raped her. And when she was being murdered by that piece of shit, she probably looked up and said, I wish that they had the wall and this prick was stopped. I feel it. My emotion comes out during this podcast, and I want people to keep listening because I'll tell it like it is. And if I did something wrong, I'll fucking admit to it. That's it.
All right. So let's end on the audience
Carlo,
question.
one more thing. When you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
That's the truth. So when Michael Cohen pled guilty, he went in front of the judge, and the judge asked him if he had any drugs or alcohol. And he said the night before he had a glass of Glenlivet 12. What would be your choice of beverage if you.
Oh,
were
no, I
drinking.
got it. Everyone knows. You go to any bar in New York, you get a Bo drink. What the fuck you think that is? Kettle One Club Soda, splash of cranberry and lime. You could drink those fuckers all night. You know what's good? The alcohol content is diluted, so you don't get wacketated, and you're smooth, and it's nice. Because if you drink straight vodka, baby, after about the third or the fourth, you can stop you off the fucking floor. When you drink a mixed drink, it's nice. You sip it, you enjoy, you have conversation, you get a nice little mellotation, and you don't fucking drive because you'll get locked up.
So that's why we have this podcast. We get life tips. I
Yeah.
always went with a Macallan. I think a Macallan.
Yeah, but
25.
if you drank Macallan and you had 4 Macallans on the rocks, and I drank Bo drinks, I'd have to pick you off the fucking floor.
But if I was going to jail, who cares? So let's end on some audience questions. We got
Okay.
we didn't get to them. We had so much to cover today. So
Okay.
let's just get to some Q&A. So this is a question from a guy named Mike from Massachusetts. He says, Bo, love the podcast. Have you seen the documentary The 7-5 about the 75th
Yeah.
precinct? And just wanted to know about your thoughts if you ever met Mike Dowd or Ken Urell and anything about that scandal.
When I saw that documentary, I got so fucking mad. First of all, these 2 punks should have been put in jail forever. A lot of people don't know there was a DEA undercover that was killed by the gang that they were protecting. Then they were taking drugs out to Long Island, selling to kids on the street. You're a fucking law enforcement. You can't be above the law. If anything, you have to abide by the law more than anybody. And cops that sell drugs and commit crimes like the way they did should go to jail and should be an example. And as far as I'm concerned, they think they're rock stars. They're not rock stars. These are 2 people that really tarnished the badge of the hard-working cops that are out there, men and women who give their lives, expose their lives for your benefit. These 2 punks, that was a disgrace. But again, this is a documentary. This is true. And people have to realize there was a cop that was killed with the same gang that they were protecting.
Wow. So another question. This is from Eric B. He says, question for Bo. While you were a cop, any run-ins with the Hells Angels? Being a cop in the 1980s, I would love to see a conversation with Bo and a current or former Hells Angel member.
Well, I think we're going to have a member come on here, one of the most famous Hells Angels, Chuck Zito, who happens to be one of my dearest friends. And I'll say it right on this podcast, probably the toughest motherfucker today is Chuck Zito, and he's a former Hells Angel, and he's going to be our podcast guest in the up-and-coming weeks. And that was my run-in with the Hells Angels, but they wanted me to fight Chuck in a ring after he got out of jail after 6 years. And I said, fuck you. You fight Chuck. I'm not fighting Chuck.
So we
I'm
will
a little
have plenty
smart
of stories
here.
when Chuck is on, and we'll
Yeah.
save that for that episode.
Yeah.
And next question, Chris from Ontario, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know, Bo, I'm loving the podcast, especially the stories about working with Scorsese.
Yeah.
You mentioned Frank Sinatra on a previous show. I would love to hear if you have any stories about Frank Sinatra or his friends like Jilly Rizzo.
Okay, so now we go back to the 1970s, like 77, 78. My friend Rocky Maselli was the jeweler. I used to call him Rocco the Thief because every time I bought something, he robbed me. But he's still my friend. And he's still alive. I think he's 93 right
Wow.
now.
God
So
bless.
I'll never forget, he introduced me to Mr. Sinatra the first time. We used to go to a place called Rocky Lee's on 2nd Avenue. It was a pizza place called Rocky Lee's. And Vinny Panetta owned it there. And I used to go there with Rocco Maselli. And the guy who was the... Roger Moore was still alive, and him and his wife were best friends with Mr. Sinatra and his lovely wife. And I had the great opportunity to meet with him and have dinner with him on a couple of occasions.
So you had dinner with Sinatra and James
Few
Bond
times.
and Bo.
And
I would
Bo
love to
with
bring
Rocco
them.
Maselli, and we'd be up there, and Vinny Panetta owned the restaurant, and it was so exciting. And I talked about with Dean Martin, eventually meeting Dean Martin, but Sinatra. Then when we went, Louis Dome. A lot of people don't know, and I'll talk about him. He was a person. He was an Italian businessman. That's how we'll just leave it, okay? He was best friends with Sinatra. And he was like on one side, then you had Jilly Rizzo on the other side. And I used to go to Jilly's. They had really great Chinese food there late at night. So when you would drink those Macallan shits and you get the hungries, you'd have great Chinese food at Jilly's. But Jilly and Louis Dome didn't get along, 2 different fractions. But Louis was a small stature guy, maybe about 5'5", would always say, Bo, watch your language. When you're at Rayo's, you don't curse. And when I'm eating, you don't interrupt me. Big giant guys would come in and start, he'd go like this, come here, shut your mouth. I'm eating. I don't want to hear no slang, and I don't want to hear no curses. That was Louis Dome. He was really best friends with Sinatra. Real fast story. I get a call from somebody from California. So the next thing is they say to me, Bo, there's this woman who went off a building. Her son wants to hire you. Put him on the phone. I said, yeah. He goes, what would it cost you, Bo, to fly out to California, just one day, investigate if my mother committed suicide, whatever. I said, well, $10,000. This is going back 18, 20 years ago. So the guy goes, okay. So now I get a first-class ticket to go to California. And I'm at Rayo's bar. I'm having a couple of cocktails, Bo drinks. And Nicky, the bartender's up there. And Louis Dome's there with Frank Venero. He's got a place on 11th Street. Venero.
Best bakery.
Yeah, he died. But Mr. Venero was up there. So Louis Dome said, I haven't seen my son in years. California going. I said, I tell you what, guys, I got a first-class ticket. How about I cash this fucking thing in? You guys come out with me tomorrow morning. We'll fly out to California. You can see your son. So we fly out there, but before we fly out there, we go to Venero's Bakery because Frank Sinatra's favorite thing was these burnt biscuit, pignoli nut biscuits. Loved them. So we're going out there. We got boxes and boxes of cannolis, napolitanis, and all that shit, right? All that. So we're sitting in the back of a 747. We're hitting turbulence. All of a sudden, the Napoleons and the eclairs, everything. So I'm starting to open the box. I'm feeding everybody on the plane. We get to California. We go to the Bel Air Hotel, and we walk into the Bel Air Hotel. So that night, Louis Dome says to me, we're going to meet Frank. His wife is in the hospital. She's getting a hysterectomy. So he's there. He's going to be there with his mother-in-law at Matty Mateo's. Matty Mateo had his neck stiff like this. He's probably dead by now. And we go to the bar. I got my boy Ronnie Strapone with me, my kid I grew up. I told him, meet me over there. We're at the bar with Mr. Sinatra and his mother-in-law. And they're drinking, I'm drinking. And we're there with Louis Dome and Frankie Venero, and we're singing songs until 2:30 in the morning. That was one of the most exciting nights of my life, to be singing with Frank Sinatra at the bar, with his mother-in-law, with Louis Dome, and with Frank Venero. So that, to me, was wow, wow, wow. That's all I got to say. How many people could say they sang with Frank Sinatra? I was drinking Bo drinks, too.
Very few people could ever say that. So that's why you have to listen to One Tough Podcast.
Yeah.
And, we have an amazing lineup of guests coming up in the fall. It's the end of August now, but in September and October, it'll knock your socks off. We're only getting started. And, Bo, you have so many people that have reached out, want to speak to you, want to come on this show, because this is the only place. This is the toughest podcast in the world.
We'll ask the tough questions.
We'll ask the tough questions. We have the tough people, and we have the greatest stories.
You know what, Carlo? And I'm very proud to say I think we hit number 8 on this podcast list. That's fucking cool. And I hope we become number 1, because you know what? This ain't a fudgitation podcast. This is the truth of life. And anybody has any questions about anything, they can send it in, and I'll answer the question. And one of the questions is, Bo, did you ever try cocaine? Yes, I did. I didn't like it because my dick didn't get hard, so I didn't use that anymore. So that's a truth.
So we always tell the truth. And you could follow us on social media. One Tough Podcast on Twitter. Bo is at Bo Deedle on Twitter and at The Real Bo Deedle on Instagram. You could find me at CJ Coutinho on all platforms. And please, please, please make sure to sign up for Gas Digital. This is the best network, best podcast network in the world. So many announcements. Use code OTP to save 15%, and you get instant access to HD video, live chat, forums, and archives of all the shows on the network.
Slow down. Repeat that fucking thing again.
Make sure to sign up for Gas Digital Network, gasdigitalnetwork.com. Use our code OTP, and you'll save 15% and get instant access to HD video, live chat. You can ask us questions as we're talking. Forums, you can talk about the show, all the shows, and you get archives of all the episodes of all the shows on the network, including all the great shows that are coming up in September. And definitely sign up. It's the greatest podcast network in the world.
Let's do something new, Carlo. Every week, let's name Punk of the Week, okay?
Oh, who's the punk of this week? There's a lot of choices.
The Punk of the Week, there's a lot of choices, but the Punk of the Week is going to be Michael Cohen for being a bitch, tape recording your client, and not having enough fucking balls to stand up. You know what? Louis Dome went to jail, and Louis Dome told me one thing. Louis said, you know what? The day of the guys with balls are gone. The last real tough guy was a guy named John Gotti Sr. He went to jail, cancer throughout his throat and mouth. He spit in their faces, and he told them to go fuck himself. That's a tough guy. He died of cancer in the jail because he was tough, and he would be on our podcast. I would have John Gotti Sr. sitting there, One Tough podcast. I wish John Gotti was alive, Senior, and I'd have him on this fucking podcast.
Nobody stands up anymore. Very few people, actually. Very few people. So let's just close out the show. Make sure you email all questions to onetoughpodcast@gmail.com. And a special shout out to Anthony Lasanti, Bear from the Bronx. Happy birthday. Big fan. And we'll see you soon. And see you next week on One Tough Podcast.